the markings around the performance area. Please do not cross this line during the show to ensure the safety of all and to avoid disrupting the performance. Media personnel, including videographers and photographers, have designated areas. Crossing into the performance space is prohibited to maintain an unobstructed view for everyone. Thank you for your cooperation and understanding. This reenactment play may contain themes and depictions of violence and abuse related to the World War II Lady Gulf landings. The performance aims to provide a historical perspective and foster understanding, but it may trigger strong emotional responses due to the sensitive nature of the subject matter.
The bottom of your trouser is dirty.
And respect the diverse experiences of all nations involved in this conflict. And we encourage anyone who may be affected by these themes to take care of their well-being during the performance. Support services will be available for those who may need them. And thank you for your understanding and joining us in this important exploration of history.
Can you hold the hat, honey? I am in the front. I'm taking a video.
December 7, 1941. Just about after dawn, the Japanese Pacific Fleet, led by General Masaharu Homa, attacked Pearl Harbor, the American naval base in Honolulu, Hawaii. This attack effectively brought the United States into a state of war with Japan and later with the Axis powers not only in the Pacific theater, but also in the European theater. The following day, 8 December, approximately 10 hours after the attack on Pearl Harbor, the Japanese conducted clandestine attacks on U.S. military installations in the Philippines, particularly Clark Airfield in Pampanga, Camp John Hay in Baguio, and Nichols Airfield in Manila. For 4 months, Filipino and American soldiers made a gallant stand against the superior and battle-hardened Japanese forces, thus delaying the timeline of conquest in the Pacific. Ill-equipped and battle-weary defenders of Bataan eventually surrendered on April 9, 1942. And a month later, the fortress island of Corregidor fell. On May 6, 1942, Lieutenant General Jonathan Wainwright capitulated to avoid more bloodshed upon instructions from General Douglas MacArthur, who made his vow with the words, "I shall return." With the capitulation and surrender of the United States Armed Forces in the Far East, many surviving American and Filipino soldiers of the infamous Death March resorted to guerrilla warfare, bringing the war against the Japanese invaders to the hinterlands and mountains in many parts of the Philippines. guerrilla fighters carrying the colors of fighting the Japanese invaders. They painstakingly sanitized a large portion of the island, thereby making it ready for its liberation. On 14 July 1944, the USS Nautilus, a Narwhal-class submarine, secretly arrived in Barrio San Roque in Aguilar, Leyte to deliver much-needed war materials for the Leyte guerrilla fighters of Colonel Roberto Talion. It was a prelude to the subsequent landings in Leyte, which General Douglas MacArthur recommended to his superiors. On September 8, 1944, the plan to attack Leyte instead of the Sarangani Bay area in Mindanao was approved by the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the Allied Forces meeting in Quebec, Canada. 17 and 18 October 1944. Events now began to move rapidly in Leyte Gulf. An armada of Allied ships gathered ominously at the mouth of the Gulf, stretching from Suluan Island in Diwan, eastern Samar, to Dinagat Island in the Surigao Strait. From the aircraft carriers, planes started airdrop missions to mainland Leyte, particularly on the eastern flank of Leyte Island, admonishing the local populace to evacuate the coastal areas for the impending pre-invasion bombardment to clear the beaches. bombing sorties happened on the shores of Barrio Telegrafo, Tolosa, Leyte, on October 19, 1944. The bombardment threw the people, mostly evacuees, in a state of panic. But thanks to the presence of mind of Yayon Abelio, 33 years old and a member of the Boy Scouts of America, he was able to send signals by way of semaphore to the nearest ship, begging them to stop the bombardment as there were civilians in the area. Instead, he asked that he be allowed to board the ship and volunteered to direct the shelling as he knew the Japanese installations in nearby Katmon Hills. With his companions, Terong Hunya and Titeng Piston, they scrambled on a small outrigger canoe while being fired upon by the Japanese artillery from nearby Mount Inapuso. They were hit by the gunfire, which overturned their outrigger, but were later picked up by a destroyer escort, USN 467. October 1944. A day has arrived. At 0600 hours, the battleships Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and California, assigned to the Southern Attack Force, opened fire on the landing beaches of Dulang. At 0700 hours, the battleships of the Northern Attack Force, Maryland, Mississippi, and West Virginia commenced firing on the landing beaches of Tacloban and Palo. Now, it was time for the main assault to land on the cleared beaches. At 1000 hours, the 1st Cavalry Division landed in Barrio San Jose and Tacloban, while the 24th Infantry Division landed in Palo. Later that day, the 1st Infantry Division advanced north to the Cataisan Peninsula to seize its primary objective, the capture of the Tacloban airfield. The 24th Infantry Division moved southwest and captured Hill 522 in Palo, which was defended by the elements of the Japanese 33rd Infantry Regiment. Southern Front, the 24th Corps, composed of the 7th and the 96th Infantry Division, pushed inland to Dulang. Within hours, they captured Hill 120, where they dramatically hoisted the American flag on a coconut tree at the foot of the hill, the first American flag to be proudly displayed after the infamous surrender in Corregidor. Aided by the Australian contingent of 3,500 sailors, 236 soldiers, and 20 airmen, the Allied forces pushed towards their targets and swiftly captured key installations. Australia provided half the major firepower for the close support group as well, and the critical inter-service communications, and to secure the back door to the landing beaches. The sound of gunfire and explosives have not stopped, and sporadic bursts of machine gun fires could be heard, even from the USS Nashville, anchored offshore where the supreme commander of the USAF, General Douglas MacArthur, was watching from the bridge. With corncob pipe in mouth, he also watched the first assault waves, as scores of LSTs land on Red Beach. Satisfied with what he saw, he prepared to disembark. Just before 1400 hours, he changed into a fresh set of uniform, wore his sunglasses, and the familiar gold-braided hat. He then gave the order to head for the shore. He descended a ladder into a waiting landing barge already filled with his staff officers and newspaper men. Also in that barge was President Sergio Osmeña who was just as eager as the general to put his feet once again on Philippine soil. To the exiled president, it was a symbolic act, a sign of fresh resolve to re-establish the Philippine government as soon as possible. Moments later, the barge grounded to a halt about 40 yards from the shore. The ramp went down to a foot of water. As the cameras reared to record the momentous scene, the general, along with President Sergio Osmeña, General Carlos P. Romulo, General Richard Sutherland, and key staff, splashed impressively on the shores of Red Beach. To inspect the damages wrought by the bombardment and earlier bombings, then quickly went to a microphone arranged by signalmen. In a voice deep with emotions, his hands trembling perceptibly, General Douglas MacArthur, commander of the U.S. Armed Forces in the Far East, began to speak.
Is the voice of freedom, General MacArthur speaking. People of the Philippines, I have returned. By the grace of Almighty God, our forces stand again on Philippine soil, soil consecrated in the blood of our two people. We have come, dedicated and committed to the task of destroying every vestige of enemy control over your daily lives, and of restoring upon a foundation of indestructible strength the liberties of your people. At my side is your president, Sergio Osmeña, worthy successor of that great patriot, Manuel Quezon, with members of his cabinet. The seat of your government is now therefore firmly re-established on Philippine soil.
On 23 October 1944, just 3 days after the successful landings at Leyte Gulf, the Allied forces triumphantly entered Tacloban, the provincial capital, with the new president Sergio Osmeña by his side, his cabinet, the officers and men of the invasion, and hundreds of cheering townspeople shouting, "Victory, Joe!" He proudly announced the full establishment of the Commonwealth government of free Philippines at the foot of the iconic terrace of the Leyte provincial capital.
the tremendous responsibility that is mine as I assume the presidency of the Philippines. I pledge all that is in me to serve the best interests of the Filipino people. The freedom of the Filipino people is my goal, and that the permanence of that independence once achieved, I will strive to secure.
Ladies and gentlemen, let this day be a day of remembrance to honor the memory of the brave soldier, men and women who sacrificed their lives for their respective countries, friend and foe alike. They have come and gone and faded away, but their memory lives on these beaches of Leyte Gulf, on the valleys, plains, ridges, and canyons of Leyte. We salute them for inspiring us and teaching us real love of country, thereby epitomizing